All right. Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. I am your host and Dungeon Master, Dan Gaston at MadSciDM on Twitter, and thank you for joining us for another Dungeon of the Mad Mage community streaming adventure. This is session 2 and our final session for level 2 of Dungeon of the Mad Mage in Undermountain, the Arcane Chambers. I am excited. So before we do our brief recap on where we left things off last week and where the story stands and where we go, let's go and say hello to each of our players. So I'll go around in some quasi-random order. And if you can remind us you and who you're playing. All right. So let's start with Celtic.
Hi,
In the
I'm Celtic
lower
Wolf.
corner.
So I'm Celtic Wolf, 43 on Twitch, and I am playing a half-elven bard of the Glamour College, and this is going to be fun.
I am excited. And of course, the Glamour Bard came in clutch with a signature Bard spell, which we'll get to momentarily. So let's go now in the upper left. Morgan, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing pretty good. Excited to be back. I am playing Kafka Allendrath, who is a dwarf fighter, and she's our little resident mama bear, and is going to try and save her fellow dwarf, who's currently chained up by that weirdo goblin human dude.
Yek, the goblin boss, who has been transmogrified into a human and seems to be lording it up. Yeah, I think that dwarf kind of wants to murder everybody, but Kafka, yes, definitely so sweet. That is very true, Emma. And I love anytime I can sucker a player into loving some goblins. That's on brand, shall we say. All right, let's go now to the upper right on the overlay for Adam.
I'm just wondering which corner I look down at to try to Brady Bunch you. I am Adam, he, him, and I am playing Aspire Stonebright, a human fighter. He is very good with two swords, and as we recently discovered in the last session, he is not a fan of being surprised in the dark, and he also does not like spiders. So what's coming up next for him is going to be interesting. Yeah.
It's interesting that he's in Undermountain because the entire dungeon complex seems to have an infestation of drow and the spiders that come with it. Like every
Look, he
level.
didn't choose to be here. He's just suffering through this with everybody else. Yeah.
It's true.
Trying to get home.
All right, and last but not certainly not least, down in my bottom left, we have Wayworn Worm. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I am playing Tolim, the wood elf monk, and he likes to punch things.
I mean, if you're gonna play a monk,
civilization.
Absolutely. I think that comes part and parcel with being a monk is punching things.
He does it so well.
It's true. It is true. He did get in a lot of punching in our last session. So, to bring it all in, when we left off, you had started your explorations of level 2, the Arcane Chambers, by finding a creepy harpsichord, but it had a nice raised dead scroll in it, so that could potentially be handy. You never know at some point. And visiting the Goblin Bazaar, where you had an audience with their leader, Yek, who has indeed been wearing a circlet of human perfection, and so has been transmuted into a human. And the Goblin's biggest concern is the Xanathar's Guild on this level, and they've promised to show you the way to level 1 if you push the Xanathar's Guild out and help them deal with that little issue. So you decided to attack one of the Xanathar Guild hideouts, little strongholds on this level, where you encountered some nefarious traps, beat up some bugbears, and then had a little altercation with some thugs and a drow who also has some spiderness to him. He is not a drider, but he seems to have been perhaps cursed by Lolth in some fashion, as he has sort of like spider-like mandibles and too many eyes for a humanoid in a very spider-like fashion, and some other spider-like traits, and indeed seem to have demonstrated some spider-like abilities. But at the moment, he's rolling on the floor laughing under the effect of Tasha's hideous laughter, thanks to the bard. And as the last of his thug guards bleeds out on the floor, and his I imagine his laughter must be really gross with those like mandible parts. I think there's a lot of chattering while he laughs and giggles and rolls around on the floor. But one of the things you hear him sort of in his laughing state sort of say is that the key is with the Keeper of Secrets. And it's just one of the things he's sort of babbling to himself as he's rolling around laughing, but it definitely sticks out. So, he is laughing on the floor. His guards have been dispatched. What are you all going to do?
Somebody tie him up while he's still incapacitated. He may have some good information, but I'm not going to have that come to once his spell wears off.
Why should we waste our time with that? Shouldn't we just dispatch him?
We don't know what he knows yet. He just made some kind of reference to a key. There are ways I can find out what he's talking about. Let's just wrap him up. We can dispatch him after we get all the information we need out of him. But right now, he's talking, and I'd like to keep him talking, just not up on the ceiling or on the walls or spitting at us. Somebody tie him up.
Aspire gestures to Tolan graciously and asks him to please go tie up the drow, because there is no way he's going to get anywhere closer to this thing than he already is.
Sure, I'll do that. Is it going to be a skill check, or is it just something that I can do?
I think you can just do it. He's incapacitated for, I think Tasha said his laughter lasts about a minute or so once you're out of combat. So he's pretty helpless at the moment. So, getting it while he's rolling around, it's a little bit of a struggle, but I don't think you'll have too much trouble.
Okay.
So yeah.
I'm up.
Excellent. So you have him tied up, and sort of just as you're putting the last sort of hitches on the rope bindings, the spell kind of wears off, and he sort of shakes his head a little groggily and narrows far too many insect-like eyes, and glares at the bard, and glares at all of you, and says, "Here I had hoped we could settle this diplomatically."
Well, perhaps we can. You're not dead yet, but we can fix that.
Kafka grabs her warhammer and motions as if she's gonna slam it into his head.
And so he sort of looks at everyone and he says, "Is it gold you want, adventurers? Gold I can give you."
No, I don't think we've got a use for demon tainted gold.
This is the Xanathar's gold.
What did you mean when you were talking about the key? In your hysterical giggling, you made some comments. Information for us is more valuable than gold.
He sort of clams up a little bit. I don't know what you mean.
Well, then you're no use to us, and it's time to follow the proud drow tradition of killing defeated foes.
Wait. What key do you seek?
How about a key to unlock this level and go to the next level of this
Oh,
accursed place?
you merely wish to leave? Oh, I would be all too happy but to show you on your way. There is a key to one of the paths that leads upwards in the ruined and desecrated Temple of Dumathoin.
Who's the key keeper?
Dumathoin is the keeper of secrets under the mountain, the Dwarven god of secrets.
Damn dwarfs.
Hey,
Sorry, was that my out loud voice? Sorry, bardic thing. Oops.
Yeah.
Big oops.
Aspire from further away than everybody else says, what if we wanted to open all the passages, not just one that suits you?
Well, I'm afraid I don't necessarily know the ways in and out since Hallister Blackcloak has put us on lockdown. I have
Where's
simply
the
had
nearest
no
exit?
interest in going up. There's the nearest exit. The old
Yes.
exits have been closed.
Hmm.
Nearest new exit. So Aspire's trying to find out where the nearest one is to the goblin.
Yeah, so
That's what
you
he's
would
thinking.
know based on what's going on is that there are no, other than exits that have been unlocked by adventurers, there are no current like open exits between levels.
Okay. So that I think that's what I'm trying to find is the nearest one that we can unlock with a key that, like, if I were him, I would tell us that the nearest one is on the other side that more suits Xanathar's guild than it does the goblins. So that's my interpretation. So I'm trying to get the
Right.
nearest.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about we leave? The bard says, "Come here, all the group. Let's come over. Let's go over here." Okay, so
Group
there's
up,
something
yeah.
about a because I don't trust the drow. So there's something about this key and the secret keeper could be interesting. I would like to know more about that. So are we looking to get maybe a little bit of, I don't know, interesting treasure, some secrets, or just to get the hell out of Dodge?
well, I think,
I would like to make this level safe.
yeah, I think that's the goal.
All
That's
right.
what I'd like as well. I want to make sure that that we have clear passage, or as safe as a dungeon level can be. This conflict between these two groups is not going to make it easy for anyone to go from Skullport up to the Yawning Portal. So I'd like to
And
clear.
I would trust the goblins with control over this level far before I'd trust Xanathar.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So maybe the next course of action is to take out the other outpost.
And
So
to
do you
get
think the
there,
drow is working with the other outposts or the outposts in...
Well, they're both Xanathar's guild.
Here's a thought. What if I cast Zone of Truth on the drow? If I do that and we ask our questions carefully, we'll be able to get some more valid information. It's a tricky spell. The drow's fairly tricky, and we may not get straight answers, but we probably have a better shot of finding out what the drow actually knows
Mm-hmm.
if we're lucky. And then we can kill it.
Aspire likes the second part and also the first part. So you have my vote.
All right, so you want...
Yeah. Although we should. How do we know if the spell is successful?
The caster
If we-
knows.
I'll know. Even if the tricky part about it is, as long as the drow's not directly lying and is telling the mostly truth, as long as he stays within that kind of realm, I'll know whether he's telling the truth or not. Whether it's a half truth, I can probably tell that too. Depends on how careful he is, how careful we ask a question, and how carefully he words the answers. But I think we have a better shot of doing at least that and getting something that vaguely resembles the truth than just like smacking him over the head with a large axe. Which
Yeah.
we can, like I said, we can do afterwards. But let's see if we can get some information out of them. At least maybe the plans for the other outpost and traps, like bottom trap things, so we don't get sliced up next time.
I was just fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
had
you
my
were
invisibility
great.
spell. If it weren't for the bard, you had my invisibility spell. Just pointing it out there.
And you were elegant in your leaping. The rest of us were not so elegant.
That's very true. All right, so that's the plan. Go back and see
Good
what
plan.
kind of information
Go
we
for
can
it.
get.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
So as you turn, sort of like 1, 2, 3 break out of your huddle, two of the thug corpses start. You notice the head starts sort of jerking around erratically,
Oh,
and
good
then
Lord.
splits open as their brain appears to crawl out of the head as 4 sort of stubby legs sort of push these 2 brains out of the heads of these thugs. And I need you to roll initiative.
Of course we did.
Wow. Of course.
Woo-hoo! I like it.
Yeah, not bad.
Yep.
All right.
17.
I've got
18.
16.
That's a 20.
Oh,
Okay,
Somebody-
so 20 for Kafka. Who was 18?
me.
Okay. And yeah, Adam
Spire was 17.
and 16 for Tolan.
Yep.
All right. It's not very good. Okay, so Kafka, what are you doing? So you just see these brains sort of push themselves out and then kind of shake themselves like a wet dog as like little bits of blood and stuff goes flying off of them. And their brains kind of just like pulsing as they turn and sort of angle themselves towards your group.
Yeah, I'm gonna that doesn't look pretty.
It does not. It does not.
I'm gonna whack 'em all. The freaking brain dog.
Okay. Excellent. All right, so go ahead and give me an attack roll as you bring your hammer down on this brain.
All right, that is a 21.
That absolutely definitely hits as your hammer smashes square into this brain.
And that's 5 damage, and then second attack also 21,
Okay.
and that one is 8 damage. Same one.
Okay. All right.
Just like
Yeah, and they sort of crack into these overgrown legs that have sort of unfolded, and it is like rippling, and it doesn't look too happy. Of course, it doesn't have a face, but all right. And then it's Terrence.
So not okay, not okay, not okay. I'm going to cast. So they're both the same distance from me?
Yeah, they're both just, because you were sort of surrounded by these thug corpses. They just came out of 2 of them randomly.
Blech. All right, I'm going to. Okay, it's a brain. I'm going to cast Vicious Mockery on who's ever closest to me.
Okay, sure. Absolutely. So,
Ick.
wisdom
Yeah.
saving throw. Oh, yeah, it definitely fails.
Yay. All right. So that little bugger takes, 6 7 points psychic damage. Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
Nice.
So we'll just say it goes to the other one than the one that Kafka attacked. And as it does, it's almost like it impacts on the brain, and you can see the flesh sort of cave in a little bit on the front and then ripple with sort of shock waves as your psychic energy rips into the brain. All right. Spire.
So Aspire remembers that we just came across some bugbears with these things that were dead and it popped out of its head. And he also remembers that he hates these things because they're just so icky. So he is going to go to the nearest one, which I'm going to, let's just say it's the one that was just psychically damaged. And he is going to swing mightily with his swords.
All
so
right.
you, longsword attack, at normal attack and the bonus action, same time. So that is a 21 to hit and a 22 to hit.
Yeah, oh, yes.
Yay.
And one is 11, and the other. Man, if I hang on, I'm going to grab this. Yep, there we go. There you go. There's 2 8s right there, people. So it's max damage. So that's so that's 11, 22 damage.
Yeah, you basically sort of put the 2 long swords almost like scissor-like across each other and just slice and, cut it cleanly in half.
Nice.
All right.
That makes me feel happy about myself. And then since I took an attack, I will take my extra attack against the other one.
All right.
I do things very well.
You sort of tuck and roll across the battlefield.
Yeah, bit of a tuck, bit of a roll, come out with my sword, and I go for a 9 to hit.
And so just you sort of catch yourself, right, as you're going, and your blade clanks into the floor beside it as it sort of just slips to the side.
Now I'm face to face with a brain creature. Uh-oh.
You are. It's pulsing.
Hey.
That is my turn. Thank you.
I'm going to run up and try and hit twice with my quarterstaff. I'm also rolling both attacks at the same time.
Perfect.
That's going to be a 26 and an 11 to hit.
The 26 hits.
Wonderful. And so that is going to be a 7 damage.
All right. So you hear one of its legs sort of crack and break as your quarterstaff catches into it, sort of knocks it back a few feet, and then this pulsing blast rips through your mind. I need you to make an intelligence saving throw.
Okay, and this is before the end of my turn?
Oh, yeah. No, sorry. I jumped the gun there. Go ahead.
I still have my unarmed strike.
Yeah, I forgot about your bonus, your unarmed flurry.
And I'm going to do flurry of blows. So 2 more attacks, and this time it's going to be 13 and 25.
Those both hit. But you don't need to roll damage because there's no way you can't possibly not kill it here.
Yeah, it's going to be at least 10 damage.
Yeah, so it's one of those, like, basically, this pulse starts to come, and you're like, no, you don't. Whack! And your fist cracks into it and sort of ends up penetrating into the brain matter.
Yum.
So the 2 of them are just left sort of just twitching, sort of spasmodically on the floor. And the drow, when you sort of look around, has a look of sheer panic on his face. All of his eyes are wide, and he's sort of, his mandibles are kind of clacking uncomfortably. I hate those.
Well,
Me too, Spider-Man. Me too.
we just dispatched them in quicker than they could react.
They are the Xanathar's spies, bred by his mind flayer allies.
All right, I'm going to cast Zone of Truth now that we've dispatched some of the little slimies over here.
All right. So, wisdom save?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought Zone of Truth was a charisma save.
Sorry, you're right. It is a charisma save, 14.
Okay. Let me just...
Thank you. Oh, whoops.
Easy enough. Charisma save. And what's your spell? Oh, no. Never mind. He's going to absolutely fail that spell. All right.
Yay, the bird.
So you can tell that he is under the effect of your Zone of Truth.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, listen, you spidery thing, you. What do you mean that they're Xanthar spies? I thought you were like part of the whole Xanthar thing going on.
I am doesn't mean that he doesn't spy on his own. He's a beholder. He's paranoid.
Is there a way to tell if a creature has that
Not
brain?
that I know of.
Hmm.
I suppose if one knew the person replaced well enough, you might suspect that it wasn't the same person anymore. But they do devour their victims.
All right, so that's not going to help. Where is the other Xanthar camp located?
I'm not going to tell you that if you don't already know.
So what you're saying is you want to die as painfully as possible.
Make an intimidation check.
Sure thing. That's going to be a 5.
He sort of laughs, a horrible sort of rasping laugh, and says, "There is nothing you could do that the Xanathar wouldn't do 1,000,000 times worse."
Well, kind of hard to argue with that.
So you're not going to tell us about all the traps that the other outpost has?
No.
But there are traps.
Most likely.
What do you value, Drow?
Freedom, money, power.
Typical drow things.
But you are a male drow, correct? Or were, before Lulth decided to fuck with you?
I am no longer a member of typical drow society.
Is it because you were a bad drow? Were you just so bad at drowing that Lulth was like, nope, you're done?
Maybe that's one way of looking at it.
I mean, that's got to be disgraceful. What would your mother think?
Perhaps I felt that I no longer enjoyed the strictures of drow society.
So you fled to the structure of the Xanathar's Guild?
No, he's a race trader, just like that Dritz dude. They're the same. Isn't that right? You and Dritz, you're the same.
So I'm just I'm gonna play the X card here.
Okay.
I don't like the sort of terminology and
yeah, no,
there.
Perfectly understandable.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with it.
Aspire will jump in on the, again, as far from the spider thing as he can be, but still within, talking distance. And he'll be like, the temple you mentioned is near to the Xanathar's outpost. Is it? And he'll kind of pull out his map. He'll look at it. He won't show the drow, but he'll look at it and he'll be like, it's down from here, and kind of gesture in the direction that's south.
Are you asking the temple or the outpost?
Oh, good question. I want to know if the temple's on the way to the outpost.
Good question. He says, which temple?
the temple with of Dumathoin, of the Seeker of the Keys, the one that you keep talking about, as if your life depended on it.
Well, there are multiple temples on this level. But if you
Where's the
seek-
Temple of Secrets?
It is south of here.
How
and
far south?
so can he
Uh,
see that you're
yeah.
looking at a map? Or like that you've got a piece
Yeah,
of
I wouldn't be
paper?
hiding. Yeah, he can see that I'm holding a piece of paper. He can't see what's on it. I'm not showing it to him.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I can show you.
In turn for what? You don't seem to be the altruistic type here.
My freedom.
Let me just check my alignment. And
Mine's pretty fuzzy, so I don't really have a problem.
yeah, I'm just checking to see if I have a problem with. Yeah, I'm lawful neutral. Dang. Yeah, I'd kind of stick with it if we said we would. I'd agree with that. You'd have
Like
to-
rules.
That's nice. So if we were
So I'm going to hand the map to Taranth, though. So what you do with the map is entirely up to you.
that works for me. So, Drow spider thing. What reassurance do we have that if we let you go after your information, that you're not going to come back after us?
That is a smart question.
Only kind I ask.
Well, I assume that you just want to leave this level. If given the opportunity to regroup, I have no ill will against adventurers. I don't care. The Xanathar wants to control this level for his own purposes. Our conflict is with the goblins, not with you. So far, all you have done is kill some, and he sort of just gestures with his head, lackeys. And quite frankly, they're a dime a dozen.
You've also exposed 2 spies in your ranks, which you didn't know about.
True.
You mentioned the key was with the secret keeper. What did you mean by that?
All I know is there's a key in the temple.
In this Temple of Secrets.
Temple of Dumathoin, yes. Dwarven god of secrecy.
Right, and so the temple's south of here, you said?
Yes.
I gotta figure out. All right, so how are we going? Group, huddle up. So I have no problem letting the drow. So just wait. I say to the drow, just right there a moment. I have no problem letting him go. I don't have an argument with him. He doesn't have an argument with us. I really don't care. I would rather get the hell out of Dodge. He's given us some information. We know that there's some kind of a key in the temple. I think that he truly doesn't, based on the fact he's in the truth zone, he really doesn't care about us one way or the other. He's got a nice little gig going here. We got rid of a couple of his problem children. I'm actually willing to, if you guys want to go out that way, I'm willing to slice the ropes and let him go, and let's just go with the information we got.
I don't want to see him continue to live.
I think
I'm-
I would like to bring him back to Yek in as proof that we have taken out one of the outposts and maybe exchange him for the dwarf so we can help get the dwarf out, and maybe the dwarf can help us find the Temple of Secrets.
He did say he could show us on the map where the Temple of Secrets was, so I don't know if we need the dwarf to be able to do that. But I think what we could do is we could montage our way through to get to Glora, who is our guide from the area, to go grab some more goblin, come pick up this creature as kind of our proof, and then we can continue on. And then once we have a key to the exit, we can decide, well, do we exit or do we take this to the goblins? Because, that's a I don't know how I feel about that yet. Maybe I do want to get out. Maybe I don't.
I can understand that.
I would
What
find
if we-
this level safer in the hands of the goblins than the hands of Xanathar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we do have to do something about the Xanathar's Guild at least, and that would
Yeah.
include like either
Taking out
capturing
the
this
second
little
actor.
spider creature or killing it. I'm fine with killing it.
I'm also cool with killing it.
So do we get the information from it first and then kill it?
Yes, yes. I would like to know where it thinks on this map it thinks the Temple of Secrets is, and then from there, I don't know, give it a good old punch to the head. I, of course, couldn't possibly do that, but somebody else is more than willing to do so.
Okay, for me, there's a certain honor among thieves. If I make a deal with him for information for his freedom, I'm not willing to clock him over the head after I do it. I'm not quite on that evil scale there. A little chaotic I'll go along with, but I'm not going to just make a deal and then go back on my word. I haven't got much. My word is something I got.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what if we don't clock him one then, and we just send Glora off to get some more goblins to take him away, and then we continue on after that? Because that way, at least 2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah, I think giving him over to the goblins is better than actually killing him.
Yeah, he still has his freedom
Yeah.
to live, not his freedom to move around.
So
And he didn't exactly
let's
specify which type of freedom he wanted.
All right, so let's leave him here and then go back and tell Goblin King where he's at. That work?
Glora. Yeah, we can send her. I mean, because if we'd have to come back this way anyway if we were heading down to this temple. So we'll get that information first and then go from there.
I will. I'll be perfectly fine staying behind to make sure he doesn't escape while we go. While you go get her.
Yeah.
No, I think I'd feel better about staying behind because
Yeah.
I'm not so sure there, darling, that you're not gonna. Oh, oops! Look who started to. Yeah, no. I'm willing to stay
Somebody
behind.
got
though.
loose.
We can keep 2 of us behind. I'm fine with that.
Cool. Okay.
I just remember
Um,
how much those poison darts hurt you.
Yeah, they made me uncomfortable. That's true, but I'm still kicking.
Oh, I know
With
you
a-
are.
Yeah.
There
Oh,
was our
I
boy.
can go.
There was our bard.
I didn't get poisoned. I'm fine. I'm a little banged up. I'll survive. And I cast Cure Wounds on myself at first level.
Yeah.
That's-
I think we should just take this guy back to the Goblin King because that's where our first allegiance was, anyways. And then I honestly think because like our first thing was to take out the Xanathar's Guild here, we should take out the second outpost before continuing on to the temple.
Sure. I mean, that works for me. It kind of aligns with where I'd want to go.
Yeah.
So I would. Do we need any more information from this guy? Do we want to get him to mark on the map where the temple is at least? Because otherwise, it's a swift clock to the head to knock him unconscious, so that it makes him easier to transport.
I don't mind the knock on the head, but like I said, I think we should just leave him here and then have the goblins come back and get him.
Yeah, but that gives him a chance to escape and undo everything we just did here.
Yeah.
We're gonna undo anything. I mean, we're
I
making
think
a
we
deal
should
for his
bring him.
freedom.
I think we should bring him with us to the goblins.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to take him back.
Yeah. And then the goblins don't have to come back here, and they can just take him as our proof
Yeah.
that we've
Works.
took out one of the outposts. So
And if they want to, they can come occupy the outpost themselves. So we'll
Yeah.
turn off the trap on the way through, because otherwise we're going to get zapped again, because I remember turning it back on. Can we get this? I don't want to be any closer to him, so that's why Taranth has the map. Can we get him to mark on the map where he tells us this temple is, whether or not it be true? Because then we can just clarify it with any of the goblins, because I'm sure they'd know.
So he'll clarify, because what he was asking was to show you if you like set him free.
Mhm.
Yep, that was kind of the deal.
Right. Well, we're not setting him free, but we're also not killing him. So in that case, is it a
He would.
unconscious knock to the head and then head on back?
Mhm.
Yeah.
to-
Yeah, if that's what you guys
Cool.
want to do. Okay.
Yeah, if he's not going to tell us anything more about it, yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty insistent that he's not going to give you information for free.
So I go over to the drow and I say, listen, darling, so sorry, because I was perfectly willing to make a deal with you, but my compatriots seem to have a feeling that they not quite trust you and that we've made deals with others. So you're going to live. How well and how long? That's no longer up to us. And I'm going to take the hilt of my dagger and clock him on the side of the head.
Okay.
Knock him out.
All right. Yep. All right. So then your plan's just to like take him back and then continue on.
Yeah.
All right. So that's easy enough. There's no particular, it's not that far to get back to where goblins last left you. It's not difficult to drag him back, and some goblins would definitely take charge of him very eagerly.
So before
That's
we
fine.
drag him out, I would suggest that perhaps we kind of just go through, see if there's any interesting loot in the room. I mean, Xanthar, gold, things.
Yeah,
Stuff.
I mean, there's some stuff piled up, and when you go after you knock him unconscious and he sort of slumps, on a chain around his neck, a silver key like falls out of his shirt. And so if you take that and spend a little bit of time, you'll pretty quickly find there's a little side room that he had set up clearly as his own chambers, and there is actually a locked chest there.
So I got the
Cool.
key. I'm going to go take the key. I'm assuming it's the same one, and open up the chest.
Okay. All right. So when you open it, it's just like a small sort of chest. When you unlock it, there's a leather bag in the bottom and a sort of piece of paper. When you pull out, I guess it's probably like a small ledger book. And so when you open it, it is indeed a ledger. It seems to be a record of account for payment. And so this actually looks like it's the payroll box. And there's 100 gold pieces in it.
Excellent. I'm liking that.
Yeah, let's split it 4 ways.
Sure. I don't mind. Say no to 100 gold pieces or 25. It'll buy
I'll make
me
it 25.
many chickens.
It will indeed buy many chickens.
Absolutely.
Now apparently Aspire likes chickens. So yeah, we're learning a lot about this guy. Cool. So are we able to progress on then, I guess, south down towards Temple area? Outpost? Whatever is south?
Yeah, so you've got some general information. And I think they had showed you where in general the other Xanathar's output is. Outpost. So it's up to you what you're gonna look for. I think you got the impression, so the other temple that's marked there as a temple, where I think they'd already given you some information on it. That was not a temple of Doomathoin, it was a different temple. And so, but somewhere south, so there's some other big areas there, one of which could be a temple. And the Xanathar's output. So you let me know which one you want to try to navigate towards. And we'll do a little bit of a skill challenge to see where you end up.
Okay.
Okay.
So based on the map we've got, the X that's Xanathar between the apprentice chambers and whatever S was, the statue area. I think that's the second outpost we're aiming for. And if the T closest to us is not that temple, because I think that's Slimes, which is where our other option to approach it from last session.
That's right.
Then the T would be after that Xanathar's outpost, which makes perfect sense to me. So I would suggest we aim for that middle X and go directly south via Slime Temple and Apprentice Chambers.
Sounds good.
All right. And so everyone else agree with that? Think it's a good idea?
Yeah, heading right to the Xanathars would be great.
Perfect.
I would also like a short rest at some point in here.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Maybe before we get off.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Go ahead and take that. Because you
Good
had
stuff.
time when you took him back to the goblins where you could have rested in relative safety.
Great.
So go ahead and take a short rest. Anyone that wants to use as many hit dice as you want.
I have to remember what my
Oof. That didn't work out well.
also the bard should have an ability to help us with getting health back.
Yeah, if
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like it.
Well, I think, do you have the Song of Rest feature?
I do not. Hang on a second.
Perfect.
All right.
All right.
Cool. I'm good to go.
Perfect. Okay, so for the navigation bit, it'll encompass lots of different things. So you can freely choose sort of what skills you're going to apply. You can assume this is a mixture of like scouting, sneaking around. You know, there might be random patrols. Basically, the idea is we're going to use skills to narratively shortcut doing room by room exploration of the dungeon level, right? You've got a general layout, you've got a target, and it's really about getting to where you want to go with the minimal amount of fuss and danger. So we're going to do a relatively simple skill challenge. You can tell me, and you can get as creative as you want with the skills that you apply. We do want different skills used by different people. And the objective is to get 3 successes before we accumulate 3 failures. And I will let you know that the DC on all of these skill checks will be 13. So you can keep that in mind when you're selecting. So there's no requirement for a particular person to do stealth or survival. This is pretty open. In fact, the more creative you get, the better. Do we have a volunteer for the first person to go?
I will.
Okay.
I'm thinking about using perception because I imagine that the path between the 2 outposts will be a little more heavily trafficked than other parts of the dungeon. So that's what I'm going to look for.
Okay, excellent. Go ahead and give me a perception check then.
Wonderful. 13.
13, excellent, bang on. So not only were you correct that it's a relatively heavily traveled path between the 2 locations, but you did notice at some key intersections, the symbol of the Xanathar's Guild, this circle with the 10 radiating spokes, would occasionally be painted on walls as or scratched on, into the stone as a little bit of a sign marker. So you were definitely able to find, at least in general, a path running between the 2 locations.
Nice.
All right. And, oh yeah, right. I said 3. I wanted 4 successes, before 3 failures, because I want to guarantee that everyone has to go at least once. I don't want to miss somebody out. So do I have a volunteer to go next? Morgan, I see you looking. Yeah.
love how you
Are
put it
there?
in.
I'm assuming we're gonna be passing people, whether they're goblins or other sorts of people going through taking this path, right? Like, because if it's a well-traveled path, we're probably gonna be passing by some people, right?
Oh yeah, there's a good chance that there could be either the goblins patrolling. There are random monsters on this level. Like, you haven't seen any yet, but the goblins did warn you that like there's other things here that are dangerous. And potentially a Xanathar's guild patrol could go by too.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find someone, ideally a member of the Xanathar's Guild, and if not, a goblin who might have some information. And I'm gonna take him, and I'm gonna roll intimidation to see if they can point us in the right direction.
Okay, I'm just imagining Kafka pulling the Batman, like, swear to me, where are they? Absolutely.
Mama Bear?
No. And all right, that is a 23.
Okay, all right. So I'm just picturing this dwarf woman stomping up to, let me roll on this table here. It's a bugbear, but it's like sort of one of the runtier bugbears, like a young male. He's gangly and kind of scrawny, and this like tough dwarf just grabs him, like slams him against the wall, demanding directions. And the bugbear's just so totally taken aback that he basically just like points out a finger and like starts babbling directions to you.
All right, I don't speak. I'm assuming he's speaking in Goblin, or is he speaking Common?
He would speak Common as well.
Okay. Okay. All right. And then I like kiss him on the cheek and say his mother would be proud of him.
All right. I'm just imagining this bugbear like blushing furiously and like scurrying away. It's very confused about how he feels right now about this whole thing. Perfect. All right, so we've got 2 successes so far, and who are we gonna have next?
I'll give it a shot. So
Okay.
I was just digging through my character sheet, and I'm like, what can I do here? Turns out I'm an archaeologist.
Yes.
So, historical knowledge feature. So when I enter a dungeon, I can say ascertain its original purposes. And for flavor effect, I have I'm a student of war, and I've gained proficiency with one type of artisan's tools, which is cook's utensils. So I would like to make a history check using my understanding of dwarven dungeons and the typical layout to go, if I were to have an outpost where I make lunch, where is the best place for ventilation to be able to make that lunch?
Perfect. I love it. This is perfectly creative. Excellent.
Now we're going to see what happens. Please don't fail me. That's a 12.
Okay. All right. So the problem ends up being
I was too specific.
Yeah, you end up getting to this point where, both Kafka and Tolan are sort of like, well, the bugbear said this, and there's a Xanathar symbol, and you're like, but, like, if we go this way, I know there's going to be a ventilation shaft, and so that's going to take all the cook fire out. And basically what happens is you end up rooting them off track a little bit, and sort of decrementing some time. You end up sort of getting mildly lost for a little bit, but then finding your way back to at least where you started. So you're not too much far behind.
The dwarves who made this tunnel, they don't follow reason. Why is this not a logical dungeon? It's almost as if a mad mage has had some kind of effect down here.
All right. Terrence.
Okay, so when I do the roll, I add my modifier to it, or is it a straight roll?
So this is a skill check. So any of the skills you have, if you're proficient, you get obviously your normal ability score modifier plus your proficiency bonus. If you're looking at D&D Beyond, it should have the bonus already calculated for you in the list of skills.
Okay, so I'm going to do an investigation check.
Okay.
Because now we've been wandering around in circles a couple times, and I'm like, and I'm looking at the map, and I'm like, all right, you know, if this meant this was Xanthar, and this was supposed to be, and this was the whole bit, and I'm, yeah. Oh, natural 20.
All right.
Boom.
So
She goes, all right, just there, okay? We're going there. Let's just there.
well, so this is perfect because natural 20s count as 2 successes. So this will take you this will take you over the top of the 4 successes that you need to successfully navigate from point A to point B. So I'm also going to give you a little bit of bonus information since you finished off with a natural 20 on an investigation check. So, you know, you're doing a really detailed study of the architecture and basically like the traffic flow. You're like beautiful minding, you know, every speck of dirt traveling through these hallways. So you find yourself to an intersection where just off of this intersection, you know, is where the Xanathar's hideout has to be, just a little bit west of you. East of you, you know that you just passed by a set of rooms and you saw a symbol that you probably didn't necessarily recognize, but when you pointed it out to Kafka, Kafka would have recognized it as the holy symbol of Dumathoin. So that you've got a pretty good idea that you've got Xanathar to the west of you, Dumathoin to the east, and here you are, stuck in the middle.
Excellent. I'm rolling well tonight. All right. So shall we go clear out the bad guys, or do you want to go muck around in the temple first?
Let's get rid of Xanathar first.
But I am entirely supportive of that. Yes, let's go fight up some Xanathar folk.
Okay.
Do what we said we'd do.
Okay. So Xanathar's first. All right. Let me just orient on this for a second here. All right. So you're in a passage. You're sort of in this intersection. You know the passage runs a little bit west of you. And from there, I think you can probably hear sort of like you can hear some humans laughing sort of in the distance. Which is a pretty good indication that this has to be the Xanathar's hideout.
This must be the place.
So it worked for us last time to send the monkey in stealthily. Shall we do the same?
I'm not opposed to that.
But this time, can we does any of us have message or some kind of telepathic thing so that we know what's going on? That would be helpful.
I don't.
I do not.
I did not prep that spell.
Okay. Be kind to us and come back. Off you go, Tolan.
Okay.
Do you know how to whistle like a bird or snort like a goblin or something like that? Do you?
I can speak
We'll see
goblin.
what we can do.
Caw, caw. Not a problem.
Do you speak goblin?
I do, as well as Undercommon.
Okay, so how about in goblin and kind of guttural, if you get in trouble, then just swear, what are we going to say? Let's say in goblin, yell,
pineapple upside down cake.
I was thinking the ale has gone sour, but okay, we can go with the pineapple stuff.
I'm down with the pineapple.
How about this? There will be a triumphant fanfare if I need you.
Triumphant fanfare.
Okay, we'll go with it. All right.
Sure.
Because at that point, your stuff's already blown. So, all right, I'm up for that.
All right. So Tolan, you're sneaking in to sort of get eyeballs on the situation.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and give me a stealth check?
Okay. That is going to be a 16.
A 16. Okay. Perfect. All right. So you're creeping down the hallway, and you can hear the laughter sort of in the distance. And you get to a section where you can see you're coming up on a door. The door is going to be to your left.
Okay.
And there's a bit of a barricade in front of it. You can see like some rubbled furniture sort of pushed up that is partially blocking the doorway, which is the entrance into whatever room is beyond.
And it sounds like the voices are coming from this doorway.
If they're not on the other side, like in the room right on the other side, then they have to be close by, but definitely on the other side of that barrier.
Okay. I'm going to try and make my way over the barrier.
Okay. So are you gonna... Because you sort of got this door on your left, there's the barrier there. Are you like just gonna go right over, or are you gonna peek in the room first, or...
Can I peek into the room before the barrier? If so, I will peek in the room first. If
Yeah,
that is an option.
yeah, absolutely. You're coming up from sort of south, right? And it's basically like a rubble baby gate in front of the doorway.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I will peek to see what's in the room.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and give me a perception check?
Okay. 16 again.
All right. So, what happens is you peek through the door. Oh. And you look through, and your eye goes up. And what you can see floating near the ceiling is a spherical creature with a large central eye, a mouth that is far too big and full of needle-like fangs, and eye stalks with eyes kind of all swiveling around. But you also notice that the central eye is all white and clouded over, and the flesh is like dripping and sloughing away from the skull underneath. And as you're looking through, it's sort of scanning the room, and it swivels over, and you can tell that the eye locks on to you just as you're peeking around the corner. And I need you to roll initiative.
Okay.
Still waiting for that triumphant fanfare.
17.
Excellent.
And I need to double check what this spell requires. Oh, it's an action. Wonderful.
All right. I just switch out my pen here because this one is not working very good. And so you're going to go first.
Okay. I'm going to spend my action to cast Minor Illusion, and the Minor Illusion will be the sound of a bunch, basically a cavalry charge with a bunch of bugles.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
Else.
All right. So everyone else hears all of this fanfare as all the bugles go off. All right, so I'm gonna need you all to roll initiative.
Damn it.
11 for Aspire.
2.
9.
All right.
Look, we knew there were going to be bugles. We just weren't ready for it so soon. Uh-oh.
Told you what to listen for.
Oh, we were listening. I was making a cup of tea, so sorry.
All right. So Espire, you're gonna be the first to go. I'm gonna say that, like, given that you're all giving him room to like move about stealthily, that you're probably roughly 60 feet from him. So you're probably gonna have to take a dash to get to where he is.
Yep. Okay. I would move and then I will dash. And that's it. I
Okay.
cannot do. I could. No, I can't do that either. No, I'm good. That's it.
All
I
right.
could action. I'm going to hold on to that just in case.
Okay, that sounds good. Kafka.
All right. So I'm not entirely clear on what the kind of framing of this situation is.
So imagine yourself at one end of a hallway.
Mhm.
At the other end of a hallway, the door's not like directly opposite you. It's sort of on, say the left-hand wall of the hallway would be where the door is. And at this point, Tolan and Espire would sort of be stacked up on the outside of this door. And you would have heard the trumpets sound, but you have no idea what's in the room.
Okay. I just go towards the door.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you run and dash down the hallway and stack up, slamming up against the wall in behind Espire. And I'm sure at this point, Tolan has probably ducked back, from out of Drek's sight and is probably babbling to you about what he has seen.
Tolan is actually concentrating very hard to try and figure out what he's going to do next. He hasn't even thought to tell them what's inside. Just, there's something.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And you don't know what's happening inside the room. And so then Terrence.
All right. So I can I see in the room? Because I'm behind everything. Because I was like really bad rolling here. So
yeah, I mean you're gonna have to, again, to get up to the room, you'll have to at least dash. So it'll take a movement and a dash just to get up to the vicinity of the doorway. Whether you peek around the corner to try and take a look in the room or not is up to you.
okay, I'm just going to do my regular movement, swearing loudly and loading my hand crossbow. But I'm not going to get too crazy because I have no idea what we're going into yet.
Okay, excellent. Tolan.
So I'm going to peek back into the room and see if it has moved.
It has not, but when your head pokes around the corner, I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay.
Have advantage, because I'm going to assume that you've got cover.
Okay, because I would have failed that first one. Okay, 17.
Okay. So you do succeed on the saving throw for half damage, but this black ray sort of shoots out of one of the eyes, which it sort of had trained right on that doorway. And so you take 18 points of necrotic damage.
Oh boy. I can't take another one of those. Wonderful. How high up in the air is it?
It is floating about 10 feet. No, the ceiling's 20 feet high. It's up about, it's got some size, but, assuming it's less than a 5-foot diameter circle, it's up at the 20-foot ceiling.
Can I close the door to the room, or is there not a door?
There is no door.
Okay. I'm going to stick my head back out and show the group how singed I probably am.
So you actually have basically like your veins and arteries all like running down your neck, where from sort of you got hit basically in the face, are all black, and your skin has like shriveled up as it's lost sort of all this moisture from it, and it looks like almost like a bite of a spider 3 days later, where it's all like necrotized around the wound.
And I'm going to say, I vote we hide. And then I'm going to jump over the barricade.
Into the room?
Oh, no.
I'm assuming that you're on the outside of the barricade already.
Okay. I pictured the space wrong. I thought that hiding behind the barricade might help. But if we already are, then yeah, I'm just going to duck down and try and not let it have a line of sight to me.
Okay. Excellent. Aspire.
So at this point, I'm not sure what's in the room. We haven't seen it. Tolan hasn't told us, but we have seen some necrotic damage to him. And he's also presumably pant-shakingly scared. So given his actions. So it's like, okay, so this is a thing that causes necrotic damage and is pants-shakingly scary, and this is the Xanathar's Guild. I'm going to put 2 and 2 together and go some form of eye thing. Look at my 2 swords, and I go, well, I'm pretty useless at range against any kind of eye thing. And so I'll turn to the group, and it's just like, if you don't mind a free action, I'd be like, so I think I'm going to go in there and stab whatever's in there. You guys have got me, right? If I go in there? Kafka, you going to come swinging?
Yeah.
It's about 15 feet in the air.
I'm 6 foot tall. I don't think I can kind of like leap with a. I got swords. I can kind of hit you. If that's the case, then I can't reach it, and I have no way to bring it down. So I might hold my action, no, hold my turn. Hold my actions until somebody does something to bring it down closer to a level, and then I'll take my turn.
Okay. Kafka.
I am going to switch up my weapon.
Okay.
And I'm going to pull out one of my because it's just in this room, just like waiting for us to be in line of sight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pull out one of my hand axes and throw it at it.
Okay. All right. So you're gonna like sort of pop out and chuck this hand axe. So go ahead and make an attack roll.
That is a 19.
19 hits.
And then second attack is a 16.
That hits as well.
Okay.
Good thing about space.
15 damage altogether for both attacks.
Okay.
And then I had 2 hand axes, and now I don't.
That is the problem with hand axes. They don't come back.
Yeah.
All right. But you do hear like you sort of huck these 2 hand axes, and like kind of quickly duck back, and you hear like a meaty thud as they thud into this floating, probably undead thing. All right, what is it doing? Okay. All right. Something happens. You don't know what because you're not looking, and it's Terrence's turn.
Okay, I am going to. I've seen it. Okay, so I've watched. Toland has got the creeping black evil disease thing.
Yep.
All right, Kafka just lost her axes, swearing loudly because this is what the bard does. I'm going to spin around the corner, and I'm going to cast Cloud of Daggers at 3rd level.
Okay.
Up in the direction of the thing, and then as soon as I cast that, I am scooting my butt back around the corner again.
All right. So what saving throw do I have to make?
I don't know if it has a saving throw.
Or does it make it makes either an attack roll or a saving throw?
Cast spell slot, casting time, range area, components, duration. You fill the air with spinning daggers in a cube 5 feet on each side, centered on a point you choose within range. A creature takes 4d4 slashing damage when it enters
for the first time or starts its turn. Okay, cool. Excellent. So basically these whirling blades appear all around it.
Yay. Okay, and I'm doing it at a 3rd level, so it's 64.
Yeah, so you can roll them now, but it won't actually take the damage till its turn.
That's fine. 2, 3. Okay, so that's 7 and 4. 7 and 8 is 15, 14. I'm not good at the mathing thing. I'm a bard.
7 and 8, so 15.
All right, so 15 damage on the next go round.
Okay, so let's make a note of that. All right, but when you popped around the corner, it triggered its held action.
Of course it did.
4. All right, go ahead and make a dexterity save, but I am going to give you advantage because you have, you're also sort of in cover.
Yay. All right, what's my dex? Yeah. Oh, damn. 9, 10, 11.
All right. So this crackling beam strikes you just after you cast this, or this will happen just before you cast the spell. So you don't have to worry about concentration checks because it will trigger first. But that takes 45 points of force damage.
All right, I'm down.
Okay.
And actually, I'm dead.
That reduces you to 0. Yes, your body becomes a pile of gray dust.
Wait, what?
Wait. What
Can we
just
go
happened?
back over that again, please? What just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you saw Terrence just like pop out and go to start casting a spell, and this ray struck her, and she just disintegrated into a pile of dust.
Wow. Okay. Oh dear. dear friend. Oh no.
Oh no.
I don't know how to handle this. I'm processing
Yeah.
that now. Actually, I do have one thing. Mechanically, did her spell get off, or did it happen before she got the spell off?
It wouldn't, yeah, because the held attack triggers first.
Okay. So it's still stuck on the ceiling. All right.
And if her spell went off, it's concentration, so it would have dropped.
Right. Wow.
So I'll look at the other two and say, So I'm thinking dwarven gods sound good right about now. What do you guys think?
Yeah, let's
Aspire puts his 2 swords into the sheath, and he's like, "Yeah, totally."
yep, let's go.
Sorry,
All right.
sorry about your hand axes, Kafka.
It's okay.
Mine. I also have 2, so she can have one of mine.
Yeah, and then let's boldly run away.
All right.
I would like to petition to name my character Brave Sir Robin.
runs away. All right. You can, of course, you can scoop up
Nope.
the
I will-
ashes.
I'll do what I can to kind of
Have you-
scoop up the dust, but I'm not sure I'm going to get too much.
There's a barricade
You have a
there,
scroll.
so you have
A
cover
dust
when you're down
buster,
beneath
you
it.
know, a little vacuuming thing going on there. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna like, I don't know, brush it into. I'm assuming I have some sort of pouch to put it in, and
And you're a
gonna-
mom, so you would do the
Yeah.
cleaning thing automatically.
Yeah.
That would be a
Yeah.
thing that moms would do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I was just looking. We picked up a scroll of Raised Dead last session, and I'm just making sure we can't cast it because you don't have a body, so
Nope, I
we
don't.
can't raise you from that. Not like that.
There are more powerful spells we can use someday.
Mm-hmm.
Someday we may bring you back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's interpretations on the body aspect, but all right. So you start retreating back to that hallway, where on the other side is the Temple of Dumathoin, and that's probably a good place for us to take a break for 5 minutes and and regather ourselves.
We come to terms with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So we will be back in a few minutes, folks. right, and we are back. Let me just remove that horrible art of the zombie beholder off, because I am sure that is of less interest to everyone. But our 3 remaining heroes have bravely retreated back towards the Temple of Dumathoin from this Xanathar's outpost, which is perhaps a little too strongly fortified without a significant plan. So, you've retreated to just outside of the temple. So you're standing outside a set of doors which are closed, but you can see sort of decorating them. It's falling apart with age, but Kafka can clearly recognize the holy symbol of Dumathoin, so you know the temple.
All right. So we're in front of the temple now. Is there like a door, or is it like an archway, or?
Yeah, there's a set of double doors. They're closed. They look sturdy enough, but they're in some disrepair given, just the general dungeonness of this whole place.
Okay. Do they appear locked, or can I just like push them open?
Go ahead and give me an investigation check.
Yeah. That is a 14.
So you're inspecting the doors, and they do not appear to be locked.
Okay. Yeah, then I just kind of push them open.
All right. So as you do, you sort of push the doors inward, and they swing open. The seal sort of, slides apart with the holy symbol of Dumathoin on it. And as you do, you hear this voice that you've heard before, this mad voice as 500,000 gold coins were dumped on the city of Skullport below. Just laugh. Oh, that won't do. Let's make this a little more interesting. And you hear just like a fizzle of some arcane energy that happens inside the room and somewhere to the left of whatever room you would be entering through this doorway.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to try and peek my head that direction, because that's worked so great for me recently.
Give me a perception check.
12.
All right. So you can see that this room, or this section of rooms, actually apparently used to originally be a mine. You can actually see cart tracks and like an overturned mine cart. You can see the way the walls are shaped, that it was once an active mine. But off to the left, when you look in that direction, you can see an altar has been carved at the end of this tunnel. It's about 3 feet tall and probably like 500 pounds of this like tapered red stone engraved with dwarvish prayer symbols on it. But it also has this sheen of smudges all over it. So like, you know how your phone looks when you have been eating pizza and like playing around on your phone, and it leaves the greasy smear marks or something all over it. So imagine that, but they're small, goblin-sized handprints all over this altar. But then as you peek around and this magic sort of fizzles out, you see a shape of a humanoid appearing on top of the altar, laying sort of on top of it. And this gray dust just like flakes off and sort of scatters down the altar and onto the ground. But then along the back wall of the room, sort of in behind the altar and in behind the materializing figure, the stone ripples and dozens of eyes open all over the wall, and this mad gibbering sound starts to permeate through the room.
Well, that can't be good.
That's a little bit creepy.
Mm-hmm.
So are we in the same, mechanically, are we in the same room as Tolan, because he's just with him?
Yeah, he's sort of peeking around into the room.
Yeah, okay. I might walk slowly into that room because it seems like there's something happening in there, and I just swords out, type of preparedness, but I make my way over towards the altar.
Okay. So you're approaching this altar. Terrence, you are aware of this, piercing sort of pain as this ray struck you, and you could feel yourself being ripped apart. But then you had just felt this coldness as a voice, and you heard this, kind of laughter after some indeterminate amount of time. And then you could feel yourself being reassembled piece by piece on top of a stone cold slab. And as your eyes kind of wink open, you can then just hear this gibbering sound from in behind you. And I need... I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
So I'm back, but I'm going to be a gibbering idiot. Okay. Oh, joy. All right. So wisdom?
Yes, please.
17.
Okay. So you managed to shake off whatever this is. You can just feel this like reality confusing gibbering coming into your brain. But you sort of shake your head, grit your teeth, and you have been through much worse, much more recently. All right. So what is everybody else doing? Tolan, Kafka?
I'm torn for a second, but then I will start approaching these eyes.
Okay. Kafka?
I'm going to inspect the kind of prayer runes over the altar.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So as you guys approach and aspire, you can see as you're approaching now that it is indeed appears to be Torrance on the altar.
Okay. I don't want to be suspicious because I still don't know what it was that hit her. I never actually looked into the room.
It's true.
So I'm like, it could have been anything. So at this point, I will give her the benefit of the doubt, and just kind of put one sword away, keep the other one out, and just kind of offer the arm and help her up from the altar.
Okay. So Aspire, Kafka, and I guess Tolan, you were sort of going past the altar towards where the eyes are.
Yeah, that's where it's headed.
Okay, so I need the three of you to also make wisdom saving throws as you sort of approach and this gibbering sound.
It would be it's a natural 20. Yeah, it's just flat natural 20.
Okay.
11.
Okay.
Critical fail.
Okay.
Oh.
So Tolan, when you sort to like step past the altar and then this mad mouthing sort of fills your ears, you sort of freeze in place, and I'm gonna have you roll a d8.
A d8.
Yes, please.
That's gonna be a 6.
A 6. Okay. Roll me another d8.
That's a 1.
All right. So you turn to your right and just start dashing through this room blindly in the opposite direction.
Okay.
And you'll do that till you run about 50 or 60 feet. And then you sort of like shake your head and come to your senses.
I'm gonna go. That's really interesting, and I assume I did a movement and then started my dash. So I'll turn around and use the rest of my dash to go back toward it, since I move 45 feet per.
Yep. Yeah. And we're not worrying about exact distances here. You basically just like run as fast as you can, and then you sort of come through. Everyone else is helping Terrence up.
I hand Terrence the little bag of her dust and say, I think this belongs to you.
Thanks. And I take it, and I kind of, and I just kind of put it on my belt and keep moving.
So as he's helping you up, Espire, you sort of turn out of the corner of your eye, and you can see, where these dozens of eyes are arrayed on the wall, and the stone is definitely not stone. It's flexing and undulating like flesh, and it splits open under one of these eyes, and sort of a mouth kind of opens up, and it spits a goblet out in your general direction, which impacts sort of beside you and explodes in a flash of blinding light. I need you and Terrence for sure, and I guess Kafka was like handing her something, so you're all kind of within about 5 feet of each other, to make dexterity saving throws.
Okay.
Natural 1.
Okay.
9.
All right. Kafka?
That's a 3.
Okay. You are all, like, at least for a few seconds, so we're not in initiative order for a very particular reason at the moment, but some of these effects basically only last, 5 or 6 seconds, but you are blinded. So just, it's, like a flashbang went off, you can't see, there's all this gibbering.
Would you consider blindness to be sudden darkness?
I am interested to see where this question goes, so I'm going to say yes.
So Aspire is not expecting to be suddenly blinded, and then he is suddenly blinded, which to him is because he doesn't know what caused it. It's the same as darkness. He is going to just lose his. I won't swear. I'm a good boy. My mother will be proud of me. He's going to drop his bundle of sticks. And he's just going to, like, swords on the ground, freak out, like, not again, and just kind of hurl down, because this is very similar to what happened last time. So he's just kind of hurling there, crying a little bit, and just like he's anticipating being touched by spider legs. So
okay.
Please, when he touch him.
Now we're on top of
I
like
see Kafka wants to. I saw that raised finger.
I know you said nobody touch him, but Kafka's a mom and she sees someone crying, and so she's go in there and try and stroke your back in a nice.
Is it like a light touch, or is it a heavy touch?
She's a dwarf, and she's gonna put her hand on your back and say it's okay.
That'd be a heavy touch.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'll be a heavy touch. In that case, he'll be like, because he's got the armor on, it's not like he's just immediately touching his back, but he'll feel the pressure, and like first he'll twitch away from you, but then he'll be like, oh, it's not a spider. That's okay.
And,
I'll be fine.
And after like 6 seconds or so, your vision clears. Terrence, you were gonna say something there before I.
No, I was gonna say. So we're up on. There's like an altar.
There's an
and then
altar,
the rest.
Yeah, it's like a big stone slab. You were on top of it, but they've sort of like helped you to your feet, sort of sliding off of it. So you're kind of on the floor now, but standing
Okay.
in the vicinity of the altar.
Okay, got it.
So are we not blind anymore?
Yeah, so after a couple of seconds, your vision clears, the stars go away. But then you see that mouth is still there, and it seems to be almost like it's chewing or working up something and looking in your general direction again. And it is still, of course, gibbering, so like multiple little mouths are all open, and little voices are gibbering.
And these
Aspire
are
is somewhat
all from the
embarrassed.
things on the walls, right?
Yeah, it's like the back wall in behind, about 10 feet in behind the altar is where this wall is. And while it bore a vague resemblance to stone, it's now very fleshy textured. You can see it's got this reddish hue. It's undulating. There are far too many eyes and mouths and so many teeth in whatever this is, sort of clinging to the back wall of the room.
So
Yeah,
So Aspire
back-
is,
I think
Yes,
we
ma'am.
need to kill this.
yes.
I'm definitely walking back to it.
Okay.
That's for sure.
All right.
Is it like a one thing or a multiple thing?
It has too many eyes and mouths for one thing, but that doesn't mean that it's many things.
Okay.
It seems to be like
Aspire
a
is embarrassed,
section of
so-
stone.
In Aspire's embarrassment, he just wants to kind of deflect attention because it's not a thing that he enjoys. So he's just going to sword and like go up real close and just poke that mouth because he's like, "You caused this."
All right.
That's what he's just reacting.
Perfect.
He's up.
So what I will have you do is first make a wisdom saving throw.
Okay. It's 15.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and make an attack.
That is 21 to hit
That absolutely hits.
and 4 damage.
And 4 damage. Okay. All right. So your blade drives into it, and this like green ichor sort of sprays out, and it's still gibbering, and you can see this mouth forming and sort of stretching out towards you off of the wall as if extended on a pseudopod.
Ew. At that point, like I'll pull my sword back and go like if that pseudopod's coming at me, then the second sword's going for that as well.
Okay,
'Cause I'm
perfect.
interested in- Like I didn't mean to make it fight me, but I'm also not happy. So you'll like this. That's a natural 1 on the hit.
All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you go and then sort of just clunk in towards that pseudopod on that second hit. And sort of, yeah, your hand gets like knocked wide and this mouth is right in your face.
I'm just gonna take like 2 steps back.
Yeah,
and
so before you
Like
can
I was freaked out before, but now I'm super freaked out.
Yeah. All right. So it stretches out to like bite at you, but it's not particularly effective. It sort of just grazes across your vambrace, but it definitely misses. But as this mouth sort of stretches, almost 5 feet out from the wall to snap at you.
That's pretty
Okay.
gross.
And
That's pretty gross. Like the wall is trying to bite me.
what is everyone else doing?
I am going to cast my Cloud of Daggers at a 2nd level because I blew the spell at 3rd level.
Okay.
So we're going to try it again.
All right. So it sort of appears in the vicinity of this wall, sort of one edge sort of as it's like sawing into the wall. I just imagine this cloud pushing in. So go ahead and roll your damage.
That's not a lot. I was hoping for more. 44. That's 4. I'll roll you again. 7.
Okay.
I love my rainbow dice. They are so happy. Beautiful stuff. Yeah, so I got 7 points of damage.
Okay. And how close are you standing to this? Are you backing away? Are you standing sort of near the altar where you were?
Well, Elspire got me up, right? So I'm probably, when he started backing up, I probably started backing up and threw this at it.
Well, he sort of approached first to the wall. So he's sort of in between the altar and the wall, and we'll just assume you were near the altar. So are you kind of just staying there?
I'm not just, I don't do this whole really up close and personal stuff. Just saying.
All right. So I will still get you to make a wisdom saving throw as you're still in the vicinity of the altar.
19.
Okay. So
Happiness.
you're handling this babbling fine, no problem. Kafka, what are you doing?
I'm gonna try and attack this weird eye mess thing.
Okay. So physical, you're coming up to the wall to pound on it up near Espire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll get you to make a wisdom saving throw first.
Okay.
Again, just this babbling and moaning sound.
4.
All right. So roll me a d8. You sort of freeze in place as you're going to attack.
That's a 6.
6. Okay, so you also do the same kind of thing as what Tolan did, and you just book it backwards. So you basically spend the rest of the turn running away.
Okay.
Tolan, what are you doing?
I'm going from interested in this thing to annoyed. So yeah, I think I'm going to try and attack it.
Okay, so again, give me a wisdom saving throw first.
Oh, that's much better. That's going to be a 22.
All right, you summon some zen-like inner peace, and you don't care about this babbling madness. So go ahead and do what you're going to do.
Okay, so starting out with the quarterstaves, that is going to be taking out a whole lot of rage with a 23 and a 24 to hit.
Oh yeah, you're spinning both ends of this, whacking at this flesh wall.
And that is going to be 18 points of damage.
Okay. So you can see meaty chunks of flesh rippling with your impacts.
And then I'm going to punch it a couple of times.
Okay. Punch it right in its stupid eye face.
I'm really not, because I don't think a 10 hits.
I gotta double check. 10 actually does.
Okay, excellent. I rolled
It's a relatively immobile flesh wall.
That's good. Oh, it's not D8s this time, it's D6s. And that is going to be another 14 points.
Nice.
All right.
Because I attack many times for a fair amount.
Yeah, it's gibbering and almost rising in crescendo as you're punching and damaging it. And another bit of spit explodes out of its mouth and right into your face. I need you to make a dexterity saving throw. Tolan?
Okay. That is going to be a 16.
All right, so yeah, you manage to jerk your head to the side so that it streaks by and doesn't impact, and nothing happens. Okay, so Espire, what are you doing at this point?
Having seen my friends attack the wall, I came in out of blind rage, And at this point, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a little bit more thoughtful about this. And then I stop being thoughtful and then just start stabbing it. So I'm going to attack.
That's our boy.
That's my boy. I'm not here to think. Let's be honest. 16, that is 24 to hit, and me 3 to hit, and that is 11 damage and 8 damage. So total 19.
All right. It is like as you're hacking into it, you've poked and jammed into some of these eyes and mouths. Black ichor is like running out of all of these cuts as it's just like gibbering. I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, that's a flat 8.
All right. So after you like hack into this creature, just the noise in your skull gets to you. And roll a d8 for me.
4.
All right. So again, you do kind of the same thing that Kafka did and just like run backwards. But as you're running, it does like this pseudopod kind of comes out snapping after you, but it's only a 13 to hit, so that's going to miss.
Doesn't grab.
His mouth is snapping after you, and you run away.
Run away.
So we'll bring it back to Kafka, who sort of you shake your head. You come to, you're on sort of the other side of the room.
Can I try to run up and hit it again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. This is obnoxious.
I do need you to make a wisdom saving throw first, though.
That's an 8.
Oh, yeah. So you like run and you get to like the altar, about 20 feet away from it, and you start to freeze up. Roll a d8 for me.
That's an 8.
And 8. Okay.
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah. I need you to roll me a d4. On a 1 or 2, that's Tolan. On a 3 or 4, it is Terrence.
It's a 1.
All right, give me an attack roll.
Awesome.
That is 13 for your
Does not
AC.
hit.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
so
God.
there's just this like woof as the hammer whiffs over your head, Tolan.
Every time I take the attack action, I make 2 attacks. Does that still count?
This just says makes a melee attack against a randomly determined creature. So
Okay.
I think it is supposed to just be a single attack. None of the words are capitalized, so it's not necessarily the attack action. But
Okay.
all right, so you woof over, and so Tolan, what are you doing when basically this hammer from your cleric ally whiffs over your head?
I'm not a cleric.
Or sorry, yes, the fighter.
Can I use insight as a free action for this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Just to try and figure out what's going on, and that is a 17.
Yeah, the Kafka's eyes are like kind of glazy and vacant. Kafka doesn't look all there.
Okay, so I will just kind of
Morgan.
I'll kind of point at Kafka and go, no, don't, and then go back to trying to defeat this mouthing monstrosity.
All right.
Okay, so that is going to be a 24 and a 12.
Yeah, those absolutely hit.
And that is going to be 15 points of damage.
Yeah, so your whirling staff sort of pokes the last eyes, and this like stone fleshy area sort of just like peels off the wall and slides down, leaving this like trail of ichor until it sort of puddles on the floor and goes, sort of deflates. And it sort of, you can reveal this glowing rune on the wall that was in behind it that sort of flashes a couple of times and then fades out and disappears.
Okay. I'm going to point to the rune and look at Kafka and say, are you in a state to know what that means?
Yes, but first, honey, I am so sorry for what just happened.
You can show
Okay?
you're sorry by not doing it again.
Okay. What do the runes? Can I understand them?
So it wasn't a dwarven rune. It was a single magical rune.
Okay.
And
I'm starting to think that this might be more up your alley, Terrence.
It might be. Do I recognize it?
Yeah, go ahead and make an Arcana check if you're proficient. Otherwise, just a general intelligence check.
I have a +5 on my Arcana. I am amazing.
Excellent, perfect.
All right, where did my dice go? Come back here. All right. It's probably a good thing. 10 + 5, I got 15.
15? Okay. It looks like it's one of the elder runes that Hallister uses throughout Undermountain for various purposes. Sometimes they damage people, or in this case, it may be tied to some sort of summoning or something like that.
So, this may be some kind of summoning thing or something, I think. Maybe. My suggestion is we do a real quick go-through here to see if we can find what we're looking for, and then perhaps get the hell out of Dodge.
If we find what we're looking for, we can definitely get the hell out of Dodge.
Okay.
Yeah, I could use some more resting.
So, Kafka,
Mm-hmm.
the altar, all
Mm-hmm.
these greasy, grubbly goblin handprints all over it. That,
Mm-hmm.
to any dwarf, is a desecration.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just look at that altar and it just, that's wrong.
Mm-hmm. So, does it look like maybe they were trying to take something from it?
Maybe they're like really randomly distributed over it. Even if they were just here touching it and maybe investigating or something, yeah, like maybe they were looking for something, but they left their dirty, grubby handprints all over this beautiful altar.
Okay. Well, I am going to rip off a piece of my my tunic thing, whatever I'm wearing, and I'm gonna wipe it down.
All right. So you spend some time wiping at this altar, and slowly but surely, like when you're cleaning your phone, you're like buffing it all out. And why don't you give me let's see.
As I'm doing it, I'm going to actually like mutter in Dwarvish, like probably like some sort of school learned prayer to Dermathoin. He's not my like chosen deity or anything, but I probably learned about the pantheon and
for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you go ahead and give me a religion check then?
Okay. That's a 12.
Okay. So you're cleaning the stone. You're saying an appropriate prayer to Dumathoin. He's not necessarily widely worshipped because secrets and whatever else, but you still know about him, and you would know some of the correct things to do and say just as a dwarf. And you finally get this altar clean, and when you do, there's a flash of light from the altar, and everyone can see this flash of sparkly light appear around Kafka. And Kafka, like, when you stretch out your hands, you can see this glow, sort of little motes of light hovering around you, which then just slowly sink into your body and fade away. But then your vision clears, and you're looking at that back wall, and you can see plain as day the outline of a door in the wall. You can just see, almost like it's glowing on a heads-up display. You can just see the lines of where there is clearly a door, perfectly dwarven made, hidden secret door, but you can see it.
All right. I walk up to that secret door and I open it.
Hey, whoa. Hey, whoa, what are you doing? Because all we see is her wandering over and, like, we don't see any of the sparkly stuff, do we?
You do. You see Kafka, like, covered in sparkly little globes of light floating around her momentarily, and then they sink into her skin and disappear.
Oh, okay. I didn't get the whole fact that we saw it. That's right. All right.
Yeah, and then she touches this wall behind the altar and just pulls, and the stone grinds open, revealing a space in behind.
You better take back everything you said about dwarven architecture.
I don't think I ever said anything about dwarven architecture.
Well, if I ever did, I take it back. How's that? Can we see anything down that way?
Yeah.
So it appears to be dark, although any of you with dark vision can see into it at least a little ways, and it opens up into like a hidden passageway, and then you can see it goes a few, probably about 10 feet, and then twists and sort of turns, and what is around the corner you're not sure.
I would look to Kafka and say, well, would you like to lead the way into dwarven secret tunnels?
How's everybody's hit points at the moment?
Terrible. Less than half.
Doing fine.
I'm only too shy of full.
Okay, so who's got... Because I'll do a little healing here. So who's, like, drop dead and dying?
I'm at
Tell
1538.
Okay, so how about a cure wounds? So
That'd be
1d8. Yeah, 1d8 plus 3.
Okay. Would you like me to roll it, or do you want to roll it?
I don't care. You can roll if you want.
Sure. Yeah, it was 4. So a total of 7.
Yep.
Okay.
Better than a stick in the eye. So
Right? Okay. I'm ready to go down tunnels if everyone else is.
Yeah, as a human, I'll need to light a torch, so I'll probably hang at the back, just so you guys can do your own thing.
I will lead the way, I guess.
Cool.
All right.
A fighter either side, we're fine.
All right. So
we're walking.
you're walking, exactly, and talking. It twists and turns. It sort of starts doubling back on itself. It's a cramped and fairly low tunnel, but it's nicely fit stone. It's dry and everything. There's some light cobwebs in here, but apparently just from disuse. No spiders of unusual size, just fairly mundane. And then you come up to what appears to be a relatively blank stone wall, although you can see the trigger mechanism to open another door, but from the back side.
Well, let's see if we can push any mouth thing off the wall with opening it.
I'm not quite sure what you mean.
Well, the first one was behind one of those mouth things, so maybe this one is behind one too. Either way, let's open the door.
Okay. Yeah, but okay, but it seems like you said the trigger mechanism was on the other side of the door, right?
No, you're in behind, so you
Okay.
can see the trigger mechanism to open the door because you're on the side where you already know that there's a secret door here.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I can open the door then.
Yeah, absolutely. You just trigger the mechanism and sort of push out, and the door will swing open.
Cool.
All right. And it swings open into a room that all of the panels all around the walls are elaborately carved with frescoes, climbing to sort of a peaked ceiling. Sorry, they're not frescoes. It's carvings. There's no painting. But all of the lower walls were all carved with depictions of dwarves pushing mine carts and working in mines. But they've all been defaced. So, like, the faces of dwarves have been, like, chiseled off. And in some places...
Like the ones earlier.
Not quite, not as crudely. So those ones, the faces had sort of been chiseled off, and then clearly the goblins, like, painted pretty bad goblin heads on top of them.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these are just plainly defaced, although some of them have had new stone added to make these carvings of like elaborate tentacles coming out of the dwarves and like out of the wall.
That's not creepy at all.
But the west end of the hall has a set of 20-foot high double doors, which are closed, and then carved into flanking it are these statues of armored dwarves with stony beards flowing out from underneath their helms.
Let's
Okay.
go open the doors, guys.
Does that seem to be the only exit, the doors? So, 'cause-
Yeah, no, there would be another set of doors as well.
right. Okay.
Because you came in
Sorry,
from like
that's
a hidden entrance, so there's two sets
Sure.
of doors. One of them is quite plain, and then there's these elaborate double doors.
Always love some good elaborate doors. Wander over to start to open them.
All right.
How about
They
we
do-
listen first, maybe? Like, listen at the
Yeah.
door
Just,
before something
sure.
comes out and goes zap?
Actually, I think that- cool. Yeah, we can check the door.
All right.
Let's do that.
Yeah, somebody give me a perception check.
Sure, I'll do that. It's a 16, I think. Yeah, it's 16.
Okay. Excellent. You don't hear anything from the other side of the room.
Okay. I hear nothing.
I think
Okay.
let's open it.
And of course, when you were walking across the room, all of these like stone tentacles were like writhing around when you walk by them, but they didn't like reach out and grab you. They're just moving.
Oh, wait, the tentacles are moving. I thought they were just carved. I didn't realize
Well,
they were like moving.
They were
tentacles.
until they were perfectly still when you were just in the doorway. But as soon as you were like walking through the room, they started moving.
Oh, that is some
All
creepy,
right.
creepy tentacle stuff. Okay, I'm going nowhere near the walls.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just like I'm looking at the doors and I'm going, can we go through the doors now? Because these tentacles are freaking me out. Are the doors like tentacly? Are they trying to reach out to?
No.
That's good.
You know,
Okay.
for a tank, you get freaked out pretty easily.
I never said I was a happy tank. I'm just really good at slicing things.
I imagine you'd have a better life if you were the cook in a tavern. But let's go through the doors.
Maybe that's what I'm aiming for. Maybe I need some money to become a cook in a tavern. You know what? That is an excellent career choice. If I get out of here, I'm going to go become a cook in a tavern. That is my dream goal. Thank you. Thank you for helping me realize it. I get to slice things, and I don't need to be
Glad I
surprised.
could help you gain enlightenment.
I've reached Zen.
Such a monk thing.
Kafka?
Let's go through the doors.
Yeah, let's stop talking about my future career prospects and actually go.
Well,
Right.
she doesn't want you to bury your dreams. If you want to be an adventurer, you can be an adventurer.
I don't think I wanted to be an adventurer. Like meta, Dan. When people were chosen to drop into the dungeon, were they adventurers that were chosen, or were they just people that were chosen?
No, they were adventurers that were chosen. And
I just
Wait,
started
didn't you
on
say
my-
that like your whole backstory was that your dad was an adventurer, so you're trying to follow in his footsteps?
I thought it was
my
uncle.
my
Uncle.
uncle, and he's given me the book, and I'm inspired. And clearly, I've reached level 5, so I'm like, this is a cool thing. But it didn't take into account how much I really don't like surprise, darkness, and spiders. So maybe I've reached the
Perhaps,
point where I'm like, you know what? I've
perhaps-
made some choices about my life.
Mhm.
maybe like a wagon food truck thing. You can go around in dungeons and feed
Ooh.
people.
This sounds
Like-
this sounds possible.
like the Red Cross of dungeons.
I like it.
Ding ding. Hello, are there any adventurers down here who need some food? I'd like to provide the food for you, but do not surprise me with darkness because it won't work well.
I
Okay,
thought
so-
I thought maybe the suggestion was along the lines of the like hipster food truck of Faerun, where you're like driving.
Oh, that's
along.
kind of where I wanted to go, but then combine it with a dungeon, I get the best of both worlds. I'm so excited for his future. I really hope he doesn't die.
Well, now you know what's going to have to happen.
Yeah,
You open the doors
I
and
have
stone
dreams,
falls.
people. Don't let me lose my dreams.
So, what happens when we open the
We open
doors?
Yeah, so you pull open these double doors, and you're immediately struck by the fact in this long chamber that they open up onto, the walls are bare. They're not elaborately carved. There's no tentacles this time, which is good. It's a 30-foot, like a big vaulted ceiling. There's thick stone arches supporting it. But all through the hall, there are 4 huge skeletons of dragons. There is one sort of at a alcove. Oh, sorry, no. There's 4 scattered along the floor, and there's a 5th in an alcove on the far end of the room. The other ones are just kind of in the hall, and it's like a paleontological museum where they're like posed. You can see the bones held together with wire. There's wires going up to the ceiling, and like they're mounted and displayed so that they're in like fearsome poses. But it's like going to like the Fields Museum, and there's just 4 of them.
I don't like where this is going.
Where is this going?
Well,
It's
you can
leading us out?
you can see when you look down at the far end on the dragon that's posed in this alcove, and there's another door down at that end of the room. But glinting, hanging from the dragon's skull, appears to be hanging a key.
So I've got
Secret key.
10 gold on that skeleton's not just a normal skeleton. Let's go find out.
Yep.
I'll turn around and I'm like, I might need money for my new kitchen. I'll meet that bet.
Oh boy.
Okay. So
How about we like mage hand the key? Says the bard with a cantrip.
Yes, do it.
entirely
And
acceptable.
we will stay on the opposite end of the room.
It's a key, so the mage hand should be able to like lift it.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I cast Mage Hand,
Mhm.
and we have it gently floating over towards where the key is hanging.
Yep.
I
All right.
attempt to up and over whatever it's hanging off of.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mage Hand comes and like cups the key and sort of gently lifts and like works it off of where it's hanging from the skeleton. And, with a little bit of work and a little bit of finesse, maybe it, takes a casting or two, but you manage to float it off and boom, the key is floating across the room.
Come
And
to mama.
I'm going to point at the door on the other side and say, I think the key goes to that door. So I think we're going to have to go to that side of the room anyway.
You mean
Wait.
back through the tentacle holes or something in this room with the dragons?
This room with the dragons, there was another like small door sort of down at the end near where that fifth dragon was, where the key was hanging from it.
Wait,
Okay.
so you think that there's another key and that's not the key to get to the out of the dungeon?
I think it was a little too easy for that skeleton to be the what did he call it? The secret keeper or the lore keeper or something like that?
Nope.
The Keeper of Secrets.
The Keeper of Secrets was Dumathoin.
Yeah. So the god.
Just
that was just a reference to the
clarify.
temple.
He was just making an oblique reference to the temple.
Okay. I still think this is too easy for this key to go out, but sure.
Well,
I'll
if you
accept
want
that.
to try that door, is it possible you can mage hand the key into the door without us getting close to that dragon in case it is not just for show?
You could. I mean, Mage Hand's limited to 30 feet.
So I'm gonna have to go into the room.
So you already had to, right? You had to get within 30 feet of
Okay.
that dragon skeleton at the far end to Mage Hand the key off, and nothing happened.
Okay, I'm liking that. All right. So, all right, I'll do the Mage Hand and we'll see if we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're getting close. You're looking at the door. You don't actually see a keyhole in the door. It just appears to be a door.
It's got a doorknob on it or a handle on it.
Yeah, there's like a latch, like some of the other doors that you've seen in the dungeon level.
All right, so I tell him I'm not seeing a place for the key.
Okay.
Do we still want to try and go in the door?
I do, yeah.
Sure.
All
Well, it's
right,
either that
all
or
right.
tentacle hallway. And
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
riding on that dragon not being a strange thing. So let's go find out if I get my 10 gold pieces.
All right. So you open this door and it leads out into another room that has several passages leading off of it. But the 20-foot high ceiling is supported by 4 pillars of white marble, each of which has been carved into the likeness of a stoic female elf in flowing robes with a flowering branch clutched and held to her chest. And each of them is facing inward into like sort of a square in the middle of the room. And all of the walls have been carved with relief carvings of unicorns and trees. But walking, you hear this little like whirring, clanking sound, and you see marching around the room, you see a small construct. I guess it's medium size. It looks like a metal cube with these like feathery metallic wings, 2 legs, 2 arms. It's got eyes, and it's carrying a metal bow with an arrow, and it's marching a circuit around these 4 pillars.
Since I am an elven scholar. Do I recognize this particular woman, or is it possibly just an elven woman?
Go ahead and give me a just give me an intelligence check.
Okay, that's a 5.
All right. Yeah, I mean they're kind of generic sculpted figures. You don't recognize anything of any particular importance from them.
Okay. I'm going to start approaching this construct.
Okay. So as you do, and sort of as you approach and it hears you, it sort of whirls towards you and it sort of raises the bow in your general direction and starts speaking. Its mouth is moving, but all of the sound that comes out is just sounds like of whirling gears and clanking metal. It appears to be a language, but it is not speaking common, and I'm guessing it's not necessarily a language any of you speak.
I'm going to say in all 4 languages that I know, I cannot understand you. Can you understand me?
And it sort of cocks its head and shakes it, and then continues speaking in this metallic, machine-like voice. The only thing you can, I think, understand is one word, which it points to itself and says, in a very clanky, metallic way, Alistron.
Okay.
Oh.
And then it looks at you for a minute and starts making its circuit again, kind of keeping an eye on you, but just circling around these pillars counterclockwise.
Is it circling inside the range of the pillars or around the back of the pillars?
Around the back of the pillars.
Right, okay.
Each of the pillars sort of is probably about 15-20 feet away from each other, so like forming this square in the middle of the room.
Is it vaguely humanoid shaped?
Not really. It looks like a totally like a square, like a metal square that has wings coming off the back of it, 2 arms and 2 legs, but they just like stick off of the square.
Okay. Well, it has arms and legs, so that's something. Alistron. I'm assuming that's your name.
Halistron. And when you say it, it sort of looks back at you and sort of wiggles a little bit and points to itself with like both thumbs this time. Halistron.
Okay, Halistron. Do you know what charades is, since we're having trouble understanding each other?
And are you just saying it, or are you also gonna try and use
yeah, I'm gonna try and like
charades.
communicate basically through gesture, through exaggerated gesture, to try and figure out if it'll get what I'm saying and hopefully communicate similarly to me back. So I guess I'll start with trying to ask kind of, what is this place? I don't know what kind of check I need to do to like point and gesture to do that.
I'm gonna say I can be swayed, but my suggestions are performance or a straight intelligence check. If you have a better idea, I am open to suggestion here.
So I'm gonna like start doing and describing what I'm trying to do, and then I'm gonna look at Terrence and think, maybe you'd be better at doing this.
Well, so you figure we can just do this whole what are we trying to get?
Well, I mean, there's a creature in here who doesn't seem like hostile, maybe we can try and get information out of it, but there's a language barrier.
Well, I mean, have we tried like walking in the room to see if?
I'm worried that it might be like a kind of like mechanism where it will become hostile if we like cross a certain point.
I'm just
And-
not sure what I can do at this point. I mean,
But I don't know if we could try and get information from it before it like starts viewing us as a hostile force.
I don't really have anything.
Well, I think the charades idea is not the worst idea in the world.
Yeah, like you could probably do a performance check better than me.
All right, well, maybe I can do that then.
So
a
so
performance.
I think the idea that Kafka was laying out is that Kafka is going to sort of describe the kind of information you're trying to get from it, and Terrence is going to do the performance check of like miming things and sort of translating that. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Okay,
Can we-
all right.
That sounds good
Yeah,
to me.
so I'm gonna try and like, and if anyone else wants to jump in with questions, go ahead. But like I'm gonna start with what is this place?
Okay, so wow. I'm looking at my bonuses. This is like insane. Just for the ones that I've got. Perform. All right. Wow. 18. The performance. Okay. So I basically mime whatever.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
here, place, question.
Yep, perfect.
All right, and I have I got a 15 plus my performance is a +9, so that's 24.
Okay. This
Yeah,
is
I
some
think
damn
I'm-
good charades.
I got mad skills.
You got mad skills. Yeah, absolutely. I like this. Okay.
So do I get some kind of an answer?
Yeah, well, so Halistron looks at you and seems to be like following your gestures, and then sort of hops up and down a little bit and goes, Halistron, and beckons for you to follow.
I'm gonna follow.
Okay. So Halistron sort of clanks down a hallway, and you can see that one of the hallways that it leads you off on this room has like a multitude of sort of cells and rooms and things leading off of it. And Halistron stops and gestures into a room, and you can see that it is full of incredibly lifelike statues. And he gestures at those, and then goes back out into the room towards the pillars, gesturing for you to follow.
Okay.
And he points at the pillars and sort of makes a motion over their body, sort of indicating, and then stands really still for a moment, and then like comes back to life.
That's weird.
Do the statues need to
Does
go
it
on
say
the pillars?
Statues come back to life.
All right, so let's go over and like look closer at the statues.
So the ones in the hallway, yeah, go ahead and give me a perception check.
I guess what I'm looking for in particular is, does anything move on, like arms move on them or anything like that? 10, 12.
So, like, the statues you're surveying, looking over them, there are, looks like statues there. You see one that looks like a mind flayer. There's a couple of statues that look like drow. You see some that look like troglodytes. There's some orcs in there. There's some humanoids. You see like a great big badger. And they're all incredibly detailed, lifelike statues.
Are there any goblins in there?
Yeah, there's some goblins in there.
Okay.
Okay, so he hopped up and down, and he brought us to the statues.
So you pointed out these statues.
Showed us them as if like, pay attention to these.
And then he went back into the room and pointed at the carved pillars, right, of these elven women. And then they stood really still.
Yep.
And sort of in a pose.
Yep.
And then started moving again.
The elven women, do their arms move?
No, they're like big 20-foot tall pillars that are just carved into statues.
Okay, so I want to point to myself and then point to the ground between the statues and then freeze in a pose and then look questioning at Halistron.
So yeah, that one's pretty obvious, so I don't think it needs a performance check. Halistron sort of, I mean, it doesn't have a head, so it can't like shake its head, but it basically, like shakes back and forth with its whole body in a clear negative.
Okay.
And what Halistron does is sort of points back towards the statues again, goes up to one of the pillars, puts its hand on a pillar, and sort of mimes saying something with its mouth, and is like standing kind of still, and then does that exaggerated sort of like movement,
Yep.
There might be some sort of word.
Can I check to see if my understanding of this might be correct, in that what he's trying to say is that the pillars turn the statues to not statues? As in, like, if they were people, it would turn them into people.
I think that sounds like a pretty safe interpretation of what he is saying.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So what I'm like, to test this, I asked if there are goblins in there, because at least we can speak goblin. I would like to walk into the room, grab a goblin statue.
Yep.
I assume that heavy. Take it back into the other room, and I guess, I don't know, lean it against the pillar so that it's touching the pillar in the same way that it was. And then I have no idea what happens next.
And so it's leaning against it, and Halistron sort of looks at you and sort of makes like a speaking gesture.
But what do we say?
Speak, friend, and enter here? I don't know. In Goblin?
Yeah. Is there any kind of... It's a good question. Is there any kind of indication of what that phrase might be?
Yeah, is there any writing on the walls in Elvish or anything?
There doesn't appear to be.
Nothing on the pillars?
No, the pillars are just carved into these, like, very elaborate carvings, but there's nothing written on them.
How about in the room with the statues?
The same thing. They're pretty bare. They actually are all made almost like they're just like storage rooms. They're just these like rectangular rooms that are like packed full of these statues. There's literally like probably hundreds of these statues packed in. Like, imagine like the Emperor's Terracotta Army. But it's like all monstrous statues.
Okay. This is probably silly. Is there like, if I like look at the back of the statue or like on its foot or something, is there like a directions panel or something?
Made in China. Okay.
Give me an investigation check.
It's a 13.
Okay. So you sort of, tip one of these statues, like find one of the smaller ones so you can kind of turn it over. And scratched in the foot, sort of inscribed into the stone, it says property of Hallister Blackcloak, stored on, and it gives a date that was like 30 years ago. And it just, it's got like a lot number and...
Okay. Well, that was no help.
So so Hallister owns it. It's a thing that does something. He's got a little robot. If Hallister, and you could kind of make the assumption that the army is his, or it's like the army is his. So he would want to have a way to kind of unfreeze them easily. But he's a wizard. He could speak whatever he wanted to. I look at Halistron and I'll be like, what? Like, because he doesn't have any lips, so you can't read lips. It's like, can you repeat the noise that Hallister makes? Like when he's got, like, I'll take the pose and I'll be looking at him and I'll be like, what's this noise? And see if he'll repeat the noise or if he can.
Right. Yeah. So he does, and I'm gonna say he attempts it. The problem is him saying Halistron is even a bit of a stretch because he just doesn't speak the language at all. Mm-hmm. But he'll try and imitate it as best he can. I'm gonna say this is gonna require an intelligence check from someone. Someone can help that person.
Yeah, I'm gonna
with the aid action, but we'll need a check here to see if you can understand him close enough.
I'm not good
in
intelligence.
Yeah. I got history. That's all I've got. Flat intelligence, I'm a +0. So
same here.
Yeah. Okay. So the fighter, the tank, is probably not the best person to attempt this.
What about Kafka?
I have a +0.
Okay, and Terrence?
And which one are we looking at? Probably
just intelligence.
I got a +2.
Okay, so I think you should probably be making the check, and then
everyone else is aid.
Yeah, everyone else is helping you, so you'll have advantage on the roll.
Okay. Don't fail me now. Oh, 16 +2, so that's 18, right?
18.
Yes, 18.
Perfect. In all the whirs and clicks, it's really hard to make out, but you think that Halistron is saying the phrase elf magic. Or rather, he's trying to repeat, in a very parrot-like way, that phrase.
So I look at him and go, elf magic? And he jumps up and down and
he nods.
Okay.
That seems frustratingly simple.
I will put my hand on the pillar and have the goblin touching the pillar, and I will say elf magic.
Okay. And so there is this pale light that sort of then fills the area between the two pillars, and slowly the goblin's flesh turns from stone back into green skin, and the goblin just looks around and is like, who are you? What is this?
So, friend, you've been a statue for 30 years.
Yeah.
Me? No. What who are you? What is this?
I'm gonna say in Goblin, you just calm down, take a second. I know it's disorienting. You're in a temple to a dwarven god, and you were turned into a statue. But you got better.
Okay. What do you want?
What was the last thing you remember?
Mm, picnic. Picnic. And then, big, scary, black cloaked, crazy haired, bearded person. And then, nothing.
Where was this picnic?
In my favorite sewer.
So in Waterdeep.
Yes.
You're in Undermountain now.
The Undermountain. I don't want to be here.
Oh, there's actually some pretty nice goblins here. You might find some friends.
I'll lean in and I'll tell him, like, if you want to, you can either stay with us or you can make your own way back. And I'll like tell him just go that way until he hits a wall, and then that way. Like, try to give him instructions how to get back. And it's like, if you make it back, go talk to Drip at the bar. He will help you.
You said 30 years?
Yep.
That's like the 3 goblin generations. Everyone I knew is dead.
That means everyone who knew you is dead, which means you are a free goblin. You can be whatever you want to be.
Maybe you can employ him at your tavern food truck.
It's like potentially. I think that there could be a good relationship if you'd like to see a part of the world. I am thinking about leaving the adventuring profession and becoming a tavern food truck owner. I'm going to need some help though. So tell you what, you go talk to Drip and you hang out there for a while. Then when I get back, we're going to have some talks. I guess.
Okay.
Okay, don't talk to Yek. Nobody likes Yek. Just go talk to Drip.
And it's safe?
Relatively.
Relatively?
If you
Mostly?
don't make a wrong
Comparison
turn.
to staying here, yes.
Sounds like Tuesday as a goblin. Relatively
You'll be
safe.
fine.
So I'm betting that this has nothing to do with the key, and the key is honestly just the key to get out of here. Because it seems like this was just a hidden room carved out by Hallister to store his army.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'll go with
I'm
that.
going to go next.
Yeah. So I think maybe warning other people about the scary statue army, and grabbing the key and figuring out how to get out of here.
How many statues are there? You said rooms are like stacked up.
Yep. There's a lot. Probably hundreds.
Can we set all the goblins free and like crash and like destroy the statues of all the dangerous things?
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, you certainly could. It would probably take a very long time for most of them. Goblins, it would depend on how many there are, but it's totally up to you.
That's a lot of work. There are probably other goblins who would be helpful and do that. And yeah, no. Oh,
I think
so
it's
many
information
no's.
we can give. Yeah, it's information we can give. What is this goblin's name, by the way? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Oh, he's like, my name's Yak.
Another yak. You'll fit in fine. So I think that's information we can give to Yak to go give back to Yak. So
Yeah, we can.
now they know
Yes.
what's here and how
Yak
it works.
can.
They can,
Yak is like John in Goblin.
Yeah.
There you
G'day, Jack. Okay, cool. So Yek can take that information back, and I think that could possibly turn the tide in the battle against the Xanathar, because they have suddenly all these goblins that are available for a little bit of a warband. So
That is
there
true.
you go, Yek.
That is true.
Yeah, that's my theory.
So you mentioned the key, right? Where
Mhm.
have you been keeping the key? Do you like have it out? Is it hidden away?
Well, it's on a chain, right?
It was, yep.
All right, I would have stuck it around my neck as we were going around doing stuff.
Okay. So Halistron actually starts pointing at the key excitedly.
What, this key?
Halistron.
Okay.
The key to Halistron?
Halistron, can you show us where this key goes?
And how are you communicating this to Halistron?
I didn't get that far.
So I look at Halistron and I go, key? Where?
So why don't you give me a performance check for our game of charades?
10 plus 9, 19.
Okay, so Halistron sort of jumps up in the air and his metallic feathered wings sort of flutter, and he's like zooming across the room and like down past all the statues down the corridor.
I go running after him.
All right.
Yep.
Dead run.
You're running after the key.
Yep.
All right. So he takes you around and sort of then lands in a place and points. And you can see that there is a large carving on the wall of a big sort of machine-like construct, bigger and more impressive than Halistron, but definitely forming a similarity. It appears to be another sort of more powerful version, but Halistron points to a keyhole in one of the eyes of this carving.
Daddy. All right, I'll bite. Halistron seems to be kind of cheerful, and we've been good to him. I'm going to insert the key, if nobody stops me, into the keyhole.
You can mage
Alright.
hand it if you want to.
No, that's all right. I think I'll just do it with my hand, and I'll turn the key.
All right. So you turn the key and it starts clanking as these like bits of metal like sort of unfold and rearrange themselves sort of origami like, revealing as they close inwards an entrance and a set of stairs going up. And
Up. Up is a
yes.
good direction. I like
And-
up. Up is
and
good.
You hear this like whirring metallic sound behind you as Halistron like floats in the air and unfolds and then folds inward into itself in space and disappears.
Oh,
That's kind of badass.
And you just hear a little
Goodbye,
Halistron.
I like Halistron. Halistron
Wow.
was cute.
And so you have found one of the hidden entrances leading upwards to level 1.
Wonderful.
All right.
And so
We did
that
it.
is where we will wrap, as we have hit our time for the end of our show and our end of the exploration of dungeon level 2. So we'll go around and let everyone sign off and remind people where they find you, anything you want to promote, and of course your favorite moment of the night. We will start in somewhat the reverse order, so I guess we will start with Wayworn Worm.
Awesome. I can be found on Twitter and here on Twitch under Wayworn Worm, and on Sunday nights at about the same time as this, I'm playing Tomb of Annihilation with a group of friends. And as for my favorite moment of the night, I'm going to have to say Halistron and just that whole ending, the charades, is wonderful.
Excellent. Yeah, sometimes it's nice to end on a challenge that's not a boss fight.
Yeah, I was expecting a boss fight.
Excellent. All right, Adam.
You can find me on Twitter at Corny, Corney. That is my last name, and also down here. My favorite moment of the night was probably never seeing the zombie beholder, because that could have gone really poorly. Second follow-up was Halistron. Thank you, Halistron. That was touched my heart. And I'd like to point out that my grand plan is that Aspire does indeed flee and start up a small business with Drip and Yek, as in some form of restauranting capacity. So the adventuring life is not for him.
Excellent, excellent. They may encounter, when they hit Waterdeep, the Autumn Drafts and Donuts, which is a establishment and cart being run by some other goblins in Waterdeep, selling beer and donuts.
That is perfect.
Yeah,
I love it.
That was a carryover from our Dragon Heist games. And it's now
Nice.
canon in Waterdeep, and I challenge Chris Perkins to write it into an adventure.
Every chance you get.
Yes. All right, Celtic.
I am Celtic Wolf 43 at on Twitter. You can feel free to follow me. I play games sporadically. I do more in-person stuff than I do on Twitch, but I'm getting much more fond of Twitch. And I'm also a really good follower. I always retweet and do things like that. I think probably Halistron was absolutely delightful, Dan. He was so cute and adorable, and it was fun doing the whole performance and trying to get messages out there. Also, wandering around trying to figure out where we were on the map and how to get there was really pretty cool too. I really enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun.
Excellent. Good. I am glad. All right, Morgan.
Hi, I am Morgan, and you can find me on Twitter at the FemDM, FEMMEDM. And actually keep an eye out on my Twitter, because there is actually going to be some big announcements coming soon. Can't say anything yet, but I'm really excited about it. My favorite, intimidating the gangly bugbear. That was so much fun.
And following
That
it
was
up with
cool.
kissing him on the cheek.
Your mother would be proud of you. That is Kafka.
Yeah.
I love this whole game. Playing Kafka was so much fun. Playing with you all was so much fun. I loved the role play. I loved the memorable goblin characters, Dan, and Halistron was absolutely amazing. This was such a great couple of sessions.
Excellent. All right. So yes, I of course Dan Gasson, Madsai DM on Twitter. You can find me here on Twitch quite often, especially these days, and bumming around on Twitter talking about science and D&D and sharing pictures of my cat, because that's what the internet is for. So yes, we'll be going into our usual schedule again this week. So Monday at, I guess it's 9 Eastern, yes. Nox will be continuing, and I believe wrapping up her Mad Mage session with Dwemer Core, which is basically Hallister's evil Hogwarts knockoff, with her group of adventurers there. On Wednesdays, Sean will be kicking off yet another Wednesday dungeon level with level 1, which will be starting with a new group of players. And Saturday afternoon, Nat will be continuing what he started this morning with level 16 in the Crystal Labyrinth and Stardock, where his players have found themselves in space around an asteroid that is actually orbiting Toriel that is magically linked to Undermountain. So that has been a blast. Next Saturday night, depending on what happens, I am going to be out of town because my sister recently had a baby and I am going to go visit. But assuming I can find a reliable enough internet connection at 10 o'clock, we will try and set up a return of Invisible Sun here at this time and space with our Invisible Sun games. So I think that is all of our announcements. So thanks everyone. What was my favorite moment? My favorite moment was totally Kafka pulling the intimidation followed by the "your mom would be proud" and kiss on the cheek. That
It's
just
really great.
yeah, that warmed the cold cockles of my heart. And also because it's so on brand for me, things with tentacles and eyes and stone to flesh is kind of my bag. So anytime I get to do that, that's always fun. All right. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you around next week. Bye, everybody.